Democrats have to agree to it.
Yeah. Hey, we'll let Chris agree. All right. Chris, what do you think? Chris says go. Whatever you say, I agree. Should I go?
Yeah.
Chris says go. Hey, I can do my own contested civil document. Yeah, we can do the other. Otter says go.
Are we going for drinks? Oh my gosh. Let's just go now.
Clyde, you can go.
Just bring it in a tinted cup, they won't even know what's in there.
Y'all just think they're cool. I asked if we're going out. But that's all right. What are you doing, man?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're calling this, I'm the only non-attorney up here, and I'm calling this meeting to order. Well, I am.
All right, so
Civil sub.
So temporary chairman Kilgore, would you like? Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is.
You said immediately.
Immediately. They were giving me a.
Yeah.
It's Don Kilgore's fault.
Trump takes over, you guys go crazy.
Reagan, do your civil report.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Chairman, we have a very significant uncontested docket. There's a bunch of line amendments and substitutes. The practice in the past has been to present the bills and then move the subs, so I assume we'll follow that practice again. For members of the subcommittee, you have all the line amendments and subs in front of you, so we'll move those all at the end in a block. First bill, House Bill 1448, comes from the Wills Trust and Estate section of the VBA. It allows any legal entity authorized by law to act as a trustee to serve as a qualified trustee of a self-settled spendthrift trust. House Bill 1456 from Chairman Albo allows the court to substitute the term parenting time as synonymous with visitation and custody and visitation orders. House Bill 1479 from Delegate Leftwich conforms the statutory procedure for disciplining attorneys to the rules of the Supreme Court of Virginia. House Bill 1492 from Delegate Hope provides that support payments may be made to special needs trust or to able savings trust accounts. House Bill 1515 comes from the Clerks Association, carried by Delegate Leftwich, allows certain documents related to real property to be transmitted electronically to other public officials. House Bill 1516 comes from the Wills Trust and Estate section, is a technical amendment to pick up something that we missed last year. House Bill 1589 from Delegate Campbell allows the court for good cause shown to use electronic posting of orders of publication instead of publication of general circulation. House Bill 1608 from Delegate Leftwich. After 6 years of working on this UFADA stuff and digital assets, there's finally everybody's on board, and we have the updated UFADA bill to replace the PAC bill from a couple of years ago. House Bill 1617 comes from the Wills Trust and Estates section regarding legal malpractice, and it clarifies who has standing and when a cause of action accrues in response to the Thorson case. House Bill 1618, also from the Wills Trust and Estates section, closes one little scenario where a executor could be held liable for non-exoneration of debts at the time of transfer. House Bill 1630 from the clerk streamlines paperwork for money held in trust in the clerk's office. House Bill 1641 is a Boyd Graves bill carried by Delegate Lupasi that requires disclosure of homeowners or personal injury liability insurance policies similar to what we've done with automobile policies. House Bill 1646 is a technical form from the Supreme Court to bring the forms in the code into compliance with other sections of the code. House Bill 1652 from Delegate Lupasi gives concurrent criminal jurisdiction to the general district courts in Richmond City of Manchester and the city courthouse. House Bill 1654 from the Supreme Court and Judicial Council, carried by Delegate Lupasi, removes the provision that allows Commissioner of Council to charge a fee of $75. House Bill 1692 from the Family Law Council, carried by Delegate Collins, gives concurrent jurisdiction in certain matters between juvenile domestic relations, circuit court, and divorce proceedings. House Bill 1713 from the Clerk Association and others interested in background check issues allows for the disclosure of birth dates and background checks for folks that already have the other information. House Bill 1816 is the Boyd Graves bill carried by Delegate Minshew regarding amended pleadings following a demur and requires a reference or incorporation of the prior pleading in order for it to be part of the case going forward. House Bill 1919 just clarifies lien prioritization, real estate taxes, tax liens. House Bill 1994 clarifies against whom the cost shifting in a BZA appeal. House Bill 2050 is a Boyd Graves bill, requires that to sever tenants by the entirety during a marriage, there has to be a written instrument. This is in response to the Evans versus Evans case. Mr. Chairman, that's the uncontested block. At this time, I would move all the substitutes and line amendments that are before the committee in your stack.
Okay, the motion is to adopt all the substitutes and amendments. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Those are adopted. Does anybody want to move any of these bills from the block? Okay, hearing no motion, now the vote is on the block. All those who want to vote in favor or against the block, indicate by the electronic vote. Okay, so I was told that there's an obvious problem here. Okay, so,
Yeah, there's a problem with the plasma screens today,
right,
and there's a black band on the right side, so it's moving everything.
okay. I gotta see, I can't tell if I voted or not.
You did.
All right, is Jason here? Oh, he's not here, okay. I'll close the roll. And, okay, the block reports. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and do, uncontested block on Krim, and then I'll start taking delegates first.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, use your request to speak button.
Oh, it's new, I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
Delegate Aaron.
Thank you. Having voted on the billing side, which we passed the block of votes, can we reconsider that vote? So a member, we have a member who was not.
Yeah, we can vote.
He'll be recorded as voting yes on the block.
I just see it as an email, that's all, I just.
At a time when our children are having problems at school, Delegate X,
In the shadow of the Trump
Miss-
administration.
Mr. Block, on whether a demur has to have pleadings incorporated or not.
Delegate Bell.
Mr. Chair, we have a number of uncontested matters that came out of the subcommittee. House Bill 1404 from Delegate Cole dealt with fire alarms and malicious activation. House Bill 1493, Delegate Hope, dealt with the definition of sales draft. House Bill 1513, Delegate Farrell, dealt with personal appearance by two-way electronic video. House Bill 1545 needs to come out of the block. House Bill 1560, Delegate Krizek, procedure when aliens are convicted of certain felonies and forms. House Bill 1580, Delegate Campbell, possession of child pornography by employees of the Department of Social Services. House Bill 1647, Delegate Posse dealing with pre-sentence report waiver by the defendants. House Bill 1791, Delegate Lingenfelter concerning conspiracy. House Bill 1812, Delegate Lefwich concerning pre-sentence reports. House Bill 1844, Delegate Ranson concerning the case information system maintained by the Supreme Court of Virginia. House Bill 1874, Delegate Pogge involving search warrants. House Bill 1882, Delegate Hope involving capital cases and terminology. House Bill 1903, Delegate Heritage involving business records and admissibility. House Bill 1921, Delegate Robinson involving assault battery of healthcare providers. House Bill 2166, Delegate Pillion involving controlled substances and definitions. House Bill 2268, Delegate Adams involving the ignition interlock violations. House Bill 2329, Delegate Warfield involving the Division of Capitol Police. Mr. Chair, I would move all substitutes and amendments.
Second.
We're not. Mr. Chair, Chair, I would ask, and staff is getting ready, but I would ask that we're gonna take these up in a block, so if anyone has any objections, amendments, comments, we need to take them out of the block before proceeding.
All right, so 1545 is out of block, and then the motion is to,
I would move that we report and
It's
we
in the blur.
need to be referred.
okay,
And
here's
report to us.
hold on. Here's where we are. I have not taken a vote on the amendments and substitutes yet, so Delegate Bell made a motion to adopt all amendments and substitutes. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor of adopting all the amendments and substitutes as block, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Amendments and substitutes are adopted. Is there anybody who wants to take anything out of the block? Okay, hearing none. Now the motion is going to be to report all the bills in the block.
Second.
Okay? All those who want to vote on the bills in the block, indicate your vote on the electronic, what do you call this? iPad.
What about the ones that go to appropriations?
Voting apparatus.
Right, right, we need to make that motion.
No, okay. We're having technical difficulties here, hold on.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion to move 1844 from the block so we can report to the
Okay, so we have to remove 1844 from the block because it has to be appropriated. Okay, so remaining block, is there a motion to report the remaining block? Delegate Bell makes the motion, is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. All those who want to vote on that, indicate your vote on electronic voting board. Okay. Maybe,
Come on.
All right.
okay, close the roll.
Mr. Chair,
Hit report. Okay, Delegate Bell.
I would move that House Bill 1844 be reported and referred to the Committee on Appropriations.
Motion is to report and refer 1844. Is there any discussion? Okay. All right. Yep, ready to vote. Okay. Toscano, Hope, Lapasi, Gilbert, Kilgore. Hope, Kilgore. Okay. Close the roll. And that is reported and referred.
Mr. Chair. No. So there has been a request that House Bill 1765, Delegate Boulevard, go by for the day. He has some additional information for the Supreme Court. We can ask that to go by for the day.
Okay.
And then we now have 4 remaining matters that have some issue. So gentlemen, want to take ours up for civil, how would you like to proceed?
Let's do Louise first.
Okay, Mr. Chairman,
House of Delegates, we've got, we're here on these.
mine are Collins, Carr, Betsy's here. Mr. Chair, Delegate Carr is here.
Okay.
And then the one that we pulled out of the block to make changes was Collins, it was one of us.
Okay, so we'll do, let's do, Delegate Ware and then Delegate Collins.
Mr. Chairman, Delegate Ware was 1432 and is here to present the bill.
Okay.
Pass 7-4.
Delegate Ware, so tell us what the problem of the law is and how you want to fix it.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, first of all, I would like to note the fact that this was on behalf of hobbyists and tradesmen, bill is brought to you on their behalf. There are people, and I discovered this as my constituent brought the original bill to me, who, like people collect stamps, these people collect automatic knives. They prefer the term automatic knife, but that is not one that we have widely in our code, so I've stuck with the word switchblade, which is a little more loaded term. They are concerned of provisions in the code that could make them inadvertent criminals simply by carrying their hobby material. There's a knife club in Richmond, for example, that people meet and they trade these, but they show the features, some of them elaborately ornamented and so on. Tradesmen, and the example that has been used, and I'll stick with this as one example, tradesmen sometimes, like a roofer, have the need for a knife that they can get access to while they're hanging onto a ladder with the other hand. So they have that need. There is a prohibition on the possession of knives, and as a result, law-abiding Virginians, such as tradesmen, hunters, and campers, risk arrest simply by possessing a knife legal to own. And I would point you to 18.2-308, which says, any person who carries about his person, hidden from common observation, any dirk, bowie knife, switchblade knife, ballistic knife, machete, razor, and so on, is violating the law subject to a conviction. The second problem comes from 18.2-311, which states that a person carrying a switchblade knife, ballistic knife, or light weapon, and having in his possession any such weapon shall be prima facie evidence of his intent to sell, barter, or furnish. So with that circumstance, these folks are concerned that they would be considered criminals simply for going about their hobby or their trade in possession of these knives. My bill seeks to correct that, and you've got the text before you. It's fairly short and simple text, notwithstanding subsection A of 18.308, any person may carry a switchblade knife concealed when such knife is carried for the purpose of engaging in a lawful profession or recreational activity, the performance of which is aided by the use of such knife.
Okay, does anybody in the audience want to speak for or against the bill? Okay, any members of the committee have any questions or comments? Okay, is there a motion on that?
Move report.
Move to report. Is there a second? Second. Moving second and report. Okay, all those who want to vote this bill indicate your vote for electronic voting machine. Okay, still got Minshew and Watts. Minshew voted, Watts. He raises his hand. Okay, close the roll. It reports 13-7. All right, thank you, Delegate Ware.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, I would ask us to take up Delegate Carr's measure. This involves fair enforcement, and it passed out of our subcommittee 10-1.
Right, Delegate Carr, tell us what the problem law is and how you want to fix it.
We're getting ready to have a bus rapid transit in Richmond, and this is in preparation for that. The bill would allow a local option to create a new class of employee known as a fare enforcement inspector. The option for planning is District 8, passed in 2014, and this bill adds District 15. The transit system would be the employer of the inspectors. The inspectors would have the authority to issue civil citations for failure to provide proof of payment on transit systems, and the civil penalty for failure to provide such a payment is not more than $100. New technology that will be used with the new bus rapid transit is BRT. Vehicles in Richmond will allow for off-board fare payment, meaning that the rider will pay for the bus. This will allow for speedier bus service and clearing of travel lanes. The bus rapid transit system in Richmond is scheduled to open by the end of 2017. These inspectors will free up sworn police for higher safety and security issues while ensuring the proper payment of the fare to use the system. I know that Mr. David Green, who's Chief Executive Officer of the Greater Richmond Transit Company, is here to speak in support of the bill if you'd like to hear it.
Okay, well, Steve, if you
Yeah, can we just can I make a motion?
You can make a motion.
Move to report?
Second. We can second the report. Any discussion? Okay, all those who want to vote in the bill, indicate your vote when trying to vote in board. Okay, Vivian's finger is still not working.
I was the one that made Ms. Clark come.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, close the roll.
Mr. Chair, thank you, delegate. Mr. Chair,
The problem is Vivian's so cold-hearted that her machine can't deal with her fingers.
that's why we like her on Crimson. Mr. Chair, we have two more. They're both Delegate Collins. Is there anyone else that you'd rather have precedence over that from Delegate Habib's? All right, so we have House Bill 1621, Mr. Chair, that only wasn't unanimous because one of our persnickety members had to abstain. So I would move that we adopt House Bill 1621. I'm saying it was unanimous absent the need to have an R6.
All right, so move. Motion is to report. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those who want to vote on 1621, indicate your vote when trying to vote in board.
Doug Gilbert, you were at 69. Okay, sorry. Sure.
Okay, Lou Posse. Miller here?
Yeah.
Okay, close the roll. Reports 19 and one abstention. Delegate Bell.
Mr. Chair, the final measure was one that was pulled out of the block for some additional work. It's Delegate Collins. I don't know if it's complicated and hard or something we can do right now, but it's his bill. It's 1545.
You can do whatever you'd like.
Mr. Chairman, basically, it's the Supreme Court has asked for some minor language change. I believe we have an amendment to it.
Mr. Chairman, the first amendment is the amendment we actually adopted in subcommittee on line 15 after the word appeal, insert in whole or in part. The next on line 17, we are actually striking the new clause 3 that has been added. So you're striking the words, been dismissed in part because some assignments of error contained in the petition for appeal did not adhere to proper formal procedure. Strike and then strike through to make the clauses match up. So you strike through to the 4, and then on line 53, after because, strike some and insert at least one.
Okay, so Colin, do you know what those things do? This is just technical changes.
They're just technical changes. It just clarifies some language.
Motion to adopt the amendments. Is there a second?
Second.
Move the second, adopt the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Amendments are adopted. Okay.
Chair, I move that we report the bill.
To report as amended. Any discussion? Okay, all those who want to report, indicate your vote when trying to go to board. Everybody's good? Lou Posse. Okay, close the roll. Reports 20-0. And you're done.
Chair, that concludes our report. Thank you.
Okay, and then by your benevolence, you decided not to have a criminal subcommittee.
I was going to stay, but nobody else was.
Okay, so Delegate Habib, you got one more
Yeah,
bill?
Mr. Chairman, we had one bill that we asked to be put on the contested docket, even though it was a unanimous vote. Every year we get a cleanup bill from DSS that's largely just is to bring us into compliance with changes in the federal law that affects our funding. That's mostly what this bill did. A couple of substantive things that it did is that in emergency removal proceedings, DSS is required to exercise reasonable efforts to prevent removal. This inserts some exceptions where that's not required. It's the abuse and neglect and other sort of really bad conduct. There is a substitute to the bill that moves some stuff around and addresses the situation about when a child isn't present at a hearing. Again, it was unanimous, but it was asked to be put on this just to make sure that everybody got a chance to see the substitute. That's the bill, and I would move that we adopt the substitute that is before everybody.
Okay, now, Delegate Bell told me that there may be another substitute, or is this the substitute that DSS and everybody's agreed to?
Yeah, so there was one small line amendment once we adopt the substitute.
Adopt the substitute, all those who want to adopt the substitute, say aye. Aye. Delegate Toscano, do you have something? Your question?
I just wanted to explain what's going on. I get that. So I think Brittany's going to report a line amendment to the substitute, well, actually, a clause amendment to the substitute that I actually spoke with Delegate Bell about, so he knew it was coming. I think he's fine with the
He
substitute.
told me that he's fine with
Yeah.
the amendments.
I just want people to know before it gets reported, because he's not here.
Okay, so I forgot to rule that the substitute's adopted, and so now there's a motion to amend. And Rick can tell us what's the amendment?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So on page 20 of the substitute that's in front of you, line 529, after living, we're striking the words at which the child is present.
Okay, and what is it, Delegate Toscano, effectively, what does that do?
It gives a little more discretion to the court in how the court will handle speaking with a child who might be transitioning out of foster care into independent living. We wanted to put some language in there that made sure that judges had the ability to speak to kids at that point. But there are certain exceptions in there as well. And what this does is it does give the opportunity for the judge to speak to a child unless it's not in the child's best interest for the child to be in court and to be spoken to.
Okay, so Delegate Toscano moves that amendment, is there a second? Second. And second, all those who want to vote on the amendment, say aye. Aye. All opposed, amendment's adopted. Is there any more discussion?
Chairman, I would move, recommend, or we report substitute for 1604 as amended.
Okay, all those who want to vote on that bill, indicate your votes. Okay. Let's see, Bell has not voted. Miller. Okay, close the roll, reports 20-0. Now, before we all split, Dave, what do we decide what Friday we were going to do mental and next Friday? Okay, so here's the deal. These short sessions, as you remember, are total nightmares. We didn't really work that hard this week. Not really because our fault. The pumps the bills weren't in yet, okay? So you can expect, if you're on CRIM subcommittee, that you will be eating pizzas on Mondays and Wednesdays until crossover, because it's just a lot of work. We will do a full meeting next Friday, and then we'll go into mental health and ethics. So if you're on those two things, you probably aren't going to be going home Friday. Well, you're going to go home Friday, but it's going to be a full work day for you. And then I have to figure out when I'm going to fit in con law for our annual 8 hours of fun. Okay, and anything else? Right.
Chairman?
Yes.
Civil sub actually did work really hard this week, and so we're gonna finish next week.
Yeah, you can do that when you don't read the bills, you can get it done real fast.